Good evening. Welcome to the Nerdy Espresso, brought to you by Lunastra Studios. I'm Siam Ahmed, and as always, I'll be your host. Okay, I know I've come up with another video or podcast after a really long time. It was supposed to be a weekly show, which it is. No, I had some things to take care of, and my voice was down. It's still down, but I'm doing better than before. So here I am with another podcast. But in today's episode, I'm not going to talk about any technical gibberish or explain flow of software development or something like that. Instead, I'll talk about skepticism in this tech field. There is a lot of skepticism in this field, and I myself am also one of those skeptics. When I first started back in 2019, I didn't have these AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, or others. But we know how crazy recent years have been, as people are talking about AI taking jobs, massive layoffs, AI taking over the world, and whatnot, with each new update. First, GitHub Copilot came out. Many of my non-technical folks won't even recognize this piece of tech, but let me tell you, it's a pretty handy tool. Yes, a tool. Just like ChatGPT, Gemini, or our new friend DeepSeek. I've seen a lot of friends treating ChatGPT as a guiding light, as if ChatGPT is absolute. Okay, hear me out. I don't hate ChatGPT, and I'm not saying it's useless. But the whole point of building AI was to make life simple and automate the tedious task that humans can do but don't necessarily have to do again and again. It was a method of optimization, but what I see after ChatGPT was exposed to people is that they stop thinking. Like, if they want to search for something, they'll ask ChatGPT instead of looking it up. Yes, it can be a faster way of finding something, but ChatGPT doesn't necessarily provide all the perfect info. If you want to learn something, go for ChatGPT. But if you want to make a presentation based on research, write a research paper, or anything that requires a human brain, something that requires generating ideas, that is not the job of ChatGPT. I mean, it's like you're forcing ChatGPT or any other AI to replace you. Just as DeepSeek got launched, people started talking about how it's the end of software engineers. Come on, man. I've been hearing this 6 years now, about 4 to 5 different AI technologies. But yes, it is going to take a portion of jobs. That's true. Which kind of jobs, you may ask? Tedious jobs. More importantly, people who hardly think and rely on AI to think on their behalf. That particular kind of employee will be replaced by AI. And that's also the motive of these products. Why waste resources, money, or time on people who can hardly think? Now, let's talk about traditional job roles, which are also changing. I've read some articles on Medium, Dev.to, and watched YouTube videos where people are talking about it. In software development, the most common division people knew was front-end and back-end. For those of you who have a vague idea of what these are, let me explain a bit. Front-end development is basically designing everything a user sees. Take a website, for example. You see its web pages, you can click its button, do something, etc., etc. All these things are happening on the client side, meaning a user is able to interact with them and see things happen in real time. Now, let's talk about the back-end. It's like the stuff that happens under the hood. The user can't see or interact with this. It's pure logic, and it works with databases, authentication, management, and so much more. All in my bias for backend development. Software development has a lot of other things apart from these two, but for simplicity's sake, I'll leave those for today. Now, for those of you becoming developers, engineers, or learning tech, you should be aware that tons of new services have been introduced in both domains, serverless computing, backend as a service, software as a service, cloud platforms, and full stack frameworks like Next.js. Now, let's start with my story. I was skeptical about this backend as a service platform and Next.js. I was a traditional backend developer and I was biased toward Python. Next.js, as its name suggests, is a JavaScript framework and a front-end framework. I never considered learning it. I mean, I knew React and I've worked in React for a couple of projects, but I absolutely hate front-end. It's not the part where you write functionality that I hate, it's the designing part I hate. No matter if I write in CSS or Tailwind, designing a web page or mobile app is so annoying for me that I don't want to work on the front end. But suddenly, after watching hundreds of SaaS videos and seeing preferred tech stacks like Next.js and T3 stack, I wanted to give it a chance, ready to throw it away at any moment. Like, if I don't like it, I'm gonna throw it. But I picked up a tutorial and started working on it using Clerk for authentication, the normal sign up, sign out and stuff like that, and Convex for my database. And this was the moment I realized how skeptical I was. When I was writing for Convex, I thought no need to pay attention, I'll be working on Django or FastAPI anyway. But when I set up Google Auth within 5 minutes using Clerk, that's when it hit me. This is why people are using SaaS or BaaS for their products, production apps, or startups. I mean, would you use your resources, time, and money on something that takes 1 hour to set up authentication when there's a 5-minute solution? I don't know about you, but the wise decision would be to take the 5-minute approach. And that's what industries are doing, unless you really need to make something custom. Now, you can say, I like to work from scratch. Let me tell you something. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what a developer loves to work with. Your client doesn't care about the tech stack, they care about your product. They care whether it works or not. Now, if you reinvent the wheel, it may take you 1 to 2 hours, but someone else who has adapted to new tech can do that in 30 minutes or less. That's what's happening right now. If you stick to traditional methods and refuse to adapt, you'll be left behind. I once heard someone say, AI won't replace you, but people who have adapted to the latest and greatest tech, including AI, will replace you. AI has the power to handle simple to medium tasks. So in order to stay in this race, you have to be better. Don't just think about traditional stuff. Learn to take a leap of faith and don't fear change. The tech industry is always changing and is changing at rapid speed. Keeping up isn't enough. Move ahead. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's content. I tried to explain my experience, how skeptical I was, and how common it is to be skeptical. I know the videos or podcasts are quite short. I try to keep it short, between 7 to 15 minutes, so it's easier to listen to them. I always say, try out different stuff, be curious, and think more. Work can be automated. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel and stay tuned for the next episode where I'll talk about a different topic. See you next Thursday at 8 o'clock. Ciao.